Hello, and thank you so much for serving on this Sunday, Easter Sunday, March 31st, 2024. I want to give you a walkthrough of what to expect for this week's lesson. And I want to thank you again so much for serving with our kids on Easter Sunday. This is such an important day for our faith, and this is a great day for the kids. And so I'm so happy that you are going to be building into their lives on this Sunday. And I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the lesson to help you feel prepared and equipped for today's lesson. So if you have any questions, I'm out of town this week, but please don't hesitate to text me or call me with any questions that you have about this week's lesson. I will be texting you to check in just to see how it went, anything that you really enjoyed or that you really didn't enjoy about today's lesson. We are test driving a new curriculum this month. This is the last week for us to test drive it, just to kind of see what we like about this curriculum. They offered us a free month, and so it was a great chance for us to kind of figure out what meets our needs here at the Oaks. So to start, 9:30 is our time to arrive. That's the same as usual. You're going to start at the check-in room where you check in, do your team huddle so you can pray together before serving. And then around 9:45 is when you'll move into the classroom. So as we've done in the past, the kids are going to go to their tables and do a center until it is time for us to move into the activity. One teacher will be greeting students and marking the attendance sheet, while the other ones are just kind of visiting with kids around the room as they work at their centers. Around 10:10, it's time to clean up the centers and to move to the worship area. Now, the worship area is the same as usual, but the activity is not going to be worship this month. We are going to be doing a welcome activity as well as an intro video. I have page numbers for every activity, and you do have to flip to them. They are marked in orange at the top corner of each one. So there are a decent amount of sheets, but hopefully seeing this video, it is also in Planning Center in a folder so you can see it before you serve. And then also just having it in front of you will hopefully make it easy to kind of walk through. So both of these are on page 3, the welcome activity and the intro video. So I'm going to flip there. Here's page 3 because they are two-sided. So on here, it is all scripted. Remember, this is something that is personal to you. Some people feel more comfortable with a script, and it's here for you if you do. If you're not totally comfortable with speaking in front of a group of kids or maybe with the content of today's lesson, then a script is a great tool to have to use. If you already feel comfortable with the lesson and comfortable with speaking in front of kids, you might not need to use the script as much. So it has scripted parts. It gives you guides for what to have them do. So in this one, you're going to bring 2 kids to the front. They're each going to hold an end of the blanket, bring up 8 to 10 other kids, put half on one side of the blanket and half on the other. So you're going to follow this script and this activity that they're going to do together. It's kind of like an icebreaker activity. Then you're going to show the intro video. So I'm going to show you quickly how to use the computer to show these videos with this curriculum. All right, so when you come over to the TV, all you have to do is turn the TV on, and then you're going to see there's a bunch of videos on here, week by week. So when you look on here, March 17th is this current week while I'm filming, but if you look, they are all labeled. So number 1 is intro video. So all you're going to do is double click it. It will turn on. If you need to pause it for some reason, over here on this little mini player is where you're going to do it. So I'm going to just show you quickly. It's going to be loud, so I apologize for that. So here we go. So it comes on. Let's say that I started it just to have it ready for the kids. So then I'm going to press pause. And now I'm paused. And I can always use that player to like rewind it, get it back to the beginning. So it's back to 0 again. So for our lessons, we need the intro video. We also need the memory verse video, which actually this week we don't. All the other weeks we do. So we won't need that this week. And then the Bible review video down here. So you just double click it and it will come on. And again, you can use the mini player to pause it or rewind it as needed. Also, while I am up, I wanted to show you this quickly. So because I'm going to be out of town for a week, I am not going to be able to lay out the materials. So I'm laying them out ahead of time. I spoke with Jessica because she served on the 17th and she's going to be also serving on the 31st. So she's aware of where everything is and will kind of like guide where everything should go. So inside this cabinet, our teacher only cabinet here in the 31st, they are out right now because I'm using them to make this video. But at the end of this video, you will have all of your lesson plans and all of your copies that you need for activities will be in that bucket. So lesson plans, there's a cross printout for the younger kids, and then also the take-home sheets for the older and the younger kids will all be located in this 331 bin. And down here will be all of the materials that you will need for the different pieces of the lesson. So they're going to be in there, pretty easy to see. So you can see this blanket here is the blanket that you can use for this activity that we are starting out with for the whole group. Okay, back to the lesson plan. So once they've watched the intro video, again, there's a scripted discussion to go through together. And then after you have done that is when it is time to switch and have the 3rd through 5th graders will go upstairs. And I apologize, I just realized it's not on here because I had used this plan for when we have Memory Verse Sunday. So it doesn't actually say it right here, but that is when you will split apart. The 3rd through 5th graders will go upstairs for their part of the lesson. So at this point, when the groups are separated, you're going to do 2 parts. Find it in the Bible and Bible teaching. Those are on pages 4 through 6. So find it in the Bible. It's on page 4. You're just going to need the script and Bibles. Bible teaching is on pages 5 and 6. You'll need your script, Bibles, plastic wrap balls with an egg with a heart sticker on it in the middle, and enough heart stickers for the entire class, plus 1 to take home to give to a friend or a family member. That is not in the plan. That is something that we just added because we thought that could be something that could be helpful. So I'm going to turn to page 4, which can be on the back here. Find in the Bible is kind of the big picture of God's big story. It's similar from week to week. The only difference is where does today's lesson fall in the Bible? Where is today's Bible story in God's big story, as well as looking up the verses that are referenced with today's story. So we're going to do this, and then they're going to move on to the Bible teaching, which is here. Again, has your supplies listed, has the prep work done, and I'm going to show you those as we walk through it. So you're going to say the script, and then have the kids begin to pass a plastic wrap ball, each pulling off 1 rotation of wrap before passing it along. Kids will continue to pass and unwrap throughout the story until the surprise is revealed inside. If the egg is revealed before you get to that part in the story, have the kid who freed it from the plastic hold it closed until you talk about the empty tomb. So I'm going to show you those eggs. So these are what they look like right now. If you've ever played the game where it's like a plastic wrap with prizes or toys inside of it, that is what this is. It is just wrapped many, 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 many times. And in the middle is an empty plastic egg with a heart sticker on it. At the end of this activity, you're going to be giving out a heart sticker to each kid, plus 1 extra one to take home to give to a friend or a family member that they want to share Jesus' love with. And so those are here. We did not put them in the egg because we're supposed to have an empty egg to represent an empty tomb. So that goes with this lesson. There are 3 of them, 1 for the K through 2, 1 for the boys upstairs, and 1 for the girls upstairs. So scripted, read Matthew 28, 5 through 7. So what this does is it breaks down the verse into smaller portions. As the teacher, it is in your script. So you don't have to pull out a Bible. And if you are running short on time, maybe 1 portion they look up in their Bibles and have the rest that you read out loud to them, depending on how you're doing with time. More script. You flip the page because it continues on page 6. Move on to Matthew 28, verse 9. And then if the kids haven't reached the egg, allow them to continue passing and unwinding the ball. Once the egg is reached, encourage kids to observe what it is and what's on it. Ask them to discuss why they think there's a heart on it, and then have them guess what's inside the egg. Once they see it's empty, lead them to discuss why it might be empty. Prompt them to see how a heart could mean that Jesus' sacrifice and resurrection show his love for us. Give each kid a heart sticker, give them 2, telling them Jesus loves them personally. And then you point to Jesus, and that's the end of the Bible teaching lesson. So if we flip back to our lesson plan, we're on the back of it now. It's time for your small group activities, which are on pages 7 through 9. This is something we tried the last 2 weeks of the month. There's actually 3 activities for each group, but we've been picking and choosing just for the sake of time. And so the belong activity is always more of an icebreaker group building activity to help them feel like they belong to the group that they are working with. And then the become activity, so there's belong, believe, which is growing your faith, reading the Bible, and then become is kind of acting out your beliefs. So K through 2 has 2 activities, Who Has the Stone and Jesus is Alive, which are going to be on pages 7 and 8. 3rd through 5th has a believe activity of Race to Write. It says paper on the wall, but we're going to be using small dry erase boards. I have them set aside for the group that is the week before you, but there are Post-its on there to tell them to leave them in the classroom upstairs. So those should be waiting for you upstairs. Worst case scenario, if the boards are not upstairs in your room, you have a a pad of white paper in the boys' classroom. And so just peel off one sheet for the girls and one sheet for the boys to use. But my preference would be to use the dry erase boards as long as they are in the classrooms. And then also prayer stone. So I'm going to show you those activities. Both will also end up with a small group wrap up as long as there is time on page 9. So I'm going to go ahead and flip to page 7 to start showing you the activities. We're going to start with the K through 2 kiddos, which is who has the stone. To do this, you just need one small stone. So there is a baggie in there. There is a baggie with one small stone in it. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's discussion. There's something to do, more discussion, and an activity wrap up for that activity together. And then the second activity for K through 2 is Jesus is Alive. And for this one, you need the printable page, coloring utensils, and kid scissors. So all the coloring utensils and kid scissors are in their material spot. And then this is the coloring page here. So this is going to actually be in the lesson plan bucket up there, so you can grab that for here for K through 2. So they're going to do that activity. And that's it for the K through 2 activities. And then they will have their small group wrap up where you just kind of talk about the things that you did together, you pray together, and then you say goodbye to one another. So now I'm going to show you the 3rd through 5th activities. Okay, so for our 3rd through 5th, you're going to start with this race to write activity. It has the supplies and the prep work. So you can use the board. You'll have to just draw a line down the middle, so they'll have to share the board and race to write it. You can follow the directions that are here. They have discussion points. They have one verse to look up in their Bibles, and then an activity wrap up at the end. So let's start with the race to write activity, which you can pause it and read it more closely if you want, or you can see this also in Planning Center. And then their second activity is prayer stones. So they're going to read Ephesians 1:18 through 20, and they're going to be given a small flat stone. They can use the Sharpies to write their name on one side of the stone and draw a cross on the other. So this inside here is this full of white stones. We picked white because we felt that was good for Easter, and also their Sharpies are going to show up a lot better on these white stones. They each get one, so boys and girls will need to kind of like dump out a little bit for what you need for each classroom, and go through the script, do the activity wrap up is there. Again, if you want to read it more closely, you can pause it here or you can look it up in Planning Center. And then this is the small group wrap up, just talking about what you did, praying together, and saying goodbye to your small group. At this point, both groups come back downstairs together. And this is dismissal time. So during dismissal, all of the kids are going to sit in the worship area together while one teacher is at the door dismissing kids, collecting stickers. The goal is to keep kids quiet so they can hear their names being called, but also to be engaged in the Bible review. So we're going to start with the Bible review video, which you saw on the computer. To double click that to watch that video, and then you're going to go through these questions. So watch the video, have students stand up if the statement is true or sit down if the statement is false. So the goal is to keep them moving up and down as they're answering these questions. After going through the review questions, there is a wrap up. You can go through this script with them. You can show the verse video again one more time if you want. They already had their sharing it in front of the congregation last Sunday, but then you can also pray them out at the end. The only other thing is that in that bucket up there are going to be take-home sheets. This is what they look like. There's some for younger kids and older kids. So younger will be our kindergarten through 2nd graders, olders are 3rd through 5th graders. So you're going to want to pass those out as they're being dismissed at the door. Typically, I keep it in the red organizer by the door, but since I'm not here, it's going to be in the bucket. You can put it in the red organizer. There might still be ones in there from the prior week. But I believe that is everything. Again, I thank you guys so much. I know how much it means to spend your Easter Sunday in here serving with our kiddos. I'm so very grateful for all that you do for Oaks Kids, for our church, but especially each one of these kids. So thank you again, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great week.